Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
Hello, welcome to the show. Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode A5, 0xa5. It's the 166th episode. Excuse any of the construction noise behind if you hear anything. Hopefully you can hear me well enough. Reminder, nothing on the show is financial advice. And stay tuned after the updates for the full beginning of the month AMA. This week on Number Go Up, we have the likelihood of war and all the ramifications, collapse of the economy and everything else that goes along with. And with Dragonchain updates, this past Sunday was Dragonchain Independence Day. October 2nd, 2016 is the date that we open sourced the code. So happy 6-year anniversary. I actually even missed it. I didn't even think about it. But it's good to note. And super happy Dragon Lucky. Last week's lot distribution. So this is the beginning. This last week was the first time we did this. Last week's episode created 512 lot. Timo the Ward will receive 128 lot for an AMA question, and Kratos God of Boy will receive 128 lot for a featured post. The host, me, got 128 lot, and Dragonchain received 128 lot. Interesting how it all worked out because there were only two participants last week's show. And in case you missed it, we can describe the DAO itself, which essentially will reward the denizen that gets a question in the AMA portion of the show, all denizens, and also for any featured posts that we put in the show. So if you have other ideas for how we can roll this out or modify the way that we do that, let us know. But essentially, we're saying that 2x the number of views will be the amount of lot created, and half of it will be split between all the denizens that participate by either asking questions or getting a post featured, and one half will go to the Dragonchain team, with the host getting the same amount as the denizens, and then the official JoJo Dragonchain account will get the remainder. And the example was this week, so it's all good. So now let's go to Den.Social updates. So the October 2022 layer creation proposal phase starts today. Essentially, you have 1 week to make a proposal for a new layer to the LCP process. Make sure if your layer proposal is not a duplicate of something that's already been proposed. All proposals should be entered by next Monday, October 10, and the commitment phase will start next Tuesday at 1400 UTC, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. And essentially, per a DAO vote, DENDAO vote months ago, the 3 layers that will be created are the number 1 as ranked by unique voters, the number 5 as ranked by total lore committed, and the number 13 as ranked by total lore committed. So get your proposals in and start promoting them so people might want to participate and collaborate with you. Next, we'll go to Coffee with Den. Also now a DAO where you can participate, you can get ownership in the DAO, and you can effectively help direct this show. Maybe you can get certain guests kicked off and stuff like that. It'd be fun. Then we go the DENDAO meeting, which is a live call. Is Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. See the post in the DENDAO layer for the agenda and a link to join live. Also, in that post, leave suggestions for items to add to the agenda or for questions that you might want covered or ideas that you might have. And you're welcome to join anything, to cover anything related to DEN. And it's a meeting, it's not a show. So you don't have to worry about showing yourself. You don't have to be shy. And the worst case, you can just ask questions in the live chat. So last week's call covered a new possible downvote brigading algorithm, for which there is now a DENDAO GI, which it's effectively what we talked about on the show. And the rundown is mostly in there, but this is kind of a request or a proposal to swap out activity from the already chosen path of the layer metrics and other metrics to fix this issue. So we've looked at stuff, and I do think that the proposals that were made and some of the ideas that were brought up by community all will work and make sense. So hopefully we can get that in place sometime in the near future. Next, we'll go to the World Blockchain Roundtable update. Episode 72 will be on Thursday, October 6th. The topic is wrong answers only, so it should be really fun, hopefully. It'll be interesting anyway. And also make sure you watch and share last week's episode, Decentralized Alternatives to YouTube. The more views it gets the first week, the more lot all the participants will get. And finally, watch this week, Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC. That is all the updates. So we're going to have a full AMA right after this.
Now, more than ever, our data is at risk. Our supply chains are in jeopardy. Our systems are broken, and businesses feel powerless. Dragonchain gives you a different way, a safer way, a better way, and you have power over your data. Dragonchain gives you proof in an untrusted world. Build now at Dragonchain.com, America's blockchain.
All right, here we go. We refresh and we see what the first question is. Hopefully these are good ones. There were some good ones that I saw already. Agent B. Anything new you can share about Dragonscale? It was always the most exciting thing for me. It would be great to know some technicals, what it would look like for the community to participate in new projects starting with Dragonscale. So we have ongoing projects with a group in Europe, and they're trying to run everything through and make sure they do everything right, and looking for various partners over there. So if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out. They are looking at the educational side and using it in a to do to have a unique way to select projects for incubators and other interesting applications. So I mean, there's been a lot that's been shared about it in the past, I believe, and there's a lot more that we never released, but essentially it was intended to be the answer to the regulatory murkiness in the US, that theoretically you would be able to participate in various projects. And we had answers to all the things that everyone was so worried about for security and protecting people who are participating in the process. We decided to drop it for the time being, and still because of everything going on in the US. But anyway, it is, even if it was applied to a purely traditional, so don't make any assumptions there. But even if it was applied to a purely traditional investment program, we've spoken to several funds that had some interest, but they never pulled the trigger. But essentially, it's a way to make how do I say, a better way to apply dumb money. If you don't know any better, you can use the crowd to help you select. And we have some interesting angles on how it can work with that. Some related to some very interesting, very novel tech. And we just haven't ever put it out. So, it's just not the right time or place, especially, to do it. So we'll hope that someday that gets out, right? Okay, next, Jacob Wayne. What is your personal favorite upcoming feature that we've discussed or proposed here on DEN, whether it was actually in the DENDAO feature proposals or maybe just discussed recently? Okay, so curveball, maybe you haven't discussed your favorite idea publicly yet. I have a lot of favorite ideas related to DEN. Some of them, like say the identity features, would be very important and very valuable for a lot of projects, just for the sheer ability to prove to all of the people you're communicating to that it really is you saying something, and essentially making it very hard or nearly impossible for someone to impersonate you. I mean, that alone is amazing. But it also, like say what we originally outlined or designed as a flag, that has a lot of stuff pulled into it. Even some of the stuff that frankly is going to be important for the current GI that's out there on the evaluation rep. And I think in the end, it looks like it probably won't be implemented as a flag. It'll probably be, there would be something like a flag, of course, but that all of those reputation elements, in economic reputation, content reputation, and now evaluator reputation would be immediately understandable from looking at a person's content post, right? You'd be able to immediately see, oh, I can see this person has a great economic rep, they're a great creator, and maybe their eval rep is kind of and that might mean something when I'm interacting with them. So that's one of them. There are a lot though. So anything that's tied to the behavior tech is extremely interesting to me. Anyway, that's probably maybe that's my favorite because it's the one that came to mind first. But there are a lot of them that are as important, and you could probably convince me that are more important, or that I should make them my favorites. So anyway, all right, Hyperion frequency, prepare for a long post. Sorry, this is awesome though, because I said this before, by the way, and on the roundtable show, I called somebody, I can't remember who, my favorite denizen, and I meant to say it for every other one and I forgot. So don't feel like you're left out. Hyperion frequency is one of my favorite denizens, for sure. Proposal. I would like to offer a minor solution to one of our many problems here on DEN, and that is user retention. I propose that we increase the starting amount of energy for each user to 96 energy, which would be how much? Let's see here. And I would want to know, and I don't want to do it live on air, of course, but of that 96 energy, what could be done with it? Because that was a big component of the reason that we did 24, let alone it's also 1 per hour, right? That it effectively would let you come in and make only only a couple of posts or more replies, or you could vote it all up and as an evaluator. And then you have to wait for it to come back until you're earning more, and now you have more energy, so you can do more things, right? And content being the most important, and that's why it's rewarded the most compared to an evaluator. So I would want to know how 96 fits into that. How many posts could you make? How many replies could you make? Maybe some example breakdowns of this many posts, this many replies with 20 energy to spare for voting or something. So now, sorry, I went into that quite a bit. Increasing the matter to energy ratio from 1 to 4. That's interesting. So you're saying you would, if I get 1 matter, I all of a sudden have 4 energy that it generates in a day. Okay, that's not that bad, right? Or not that big of a difference, unless you have somebody with like say the starting amount of they have 25 energy, or sorry, 25 matter, so they effectively have 49 energy at the end of the day, and this would increase that pretty to 124 a day, and decrease the weight or value of energy to 1/4. Now that I'm not are you saying that's just the I'd have to maybe talk to you about that to know what you mean, but I think you just mean that, well, I don't think it means anything for the energy side, that the matter to energy ratio would increase the amount of energy from matter. I don't know if you mean that there'd be some other effect on the use of the energy. Okay, so a thread link expressing the ideals and concerns of DEN and many reasons as to why I'm bringing this proposal forward. So we need to read this. As with many of my other rather lengthy posts, I will try to sum up the key points here, but implore those who genuinely wish to see DEN grow steadily to seriously spend some time going over the lengthy points being made, even if it comes off a little sloppy. The main reason for proposal is user retention. With 24 energy, a new user walking to DEN can spend it effortlessly in moments. This is true. If they're voting or something, whether it be for content creation, evaluation, or commenting, 24 energy is not generous as a starting fund. It's not an incentive for new users, especially those who have no background in NFT or crypto, to go over to Uniswap and buy tokens. Yeah, we want to make sure that it's usable without that. So your proposal of 96 maybe doesn't make good sense. It could also be maybe that if you are referred, that person gets some points, and maybe that's when you get more energy coming in. Maybe you get more energy coming in, but if they refer someone who is ends up with a bad reputation, that it should penalize them, right? Something like that would be pretty cool. Maybe you would have to commit an amount of matter to a referral, and then you would get a bonus from if you bring in good people, right? Something like that could be really cool, including maybe lore bonuses if that person is retained, right? Like, let's say I bring in a buddy that I know is a good content creator, and if this person is still posting in a month, I get a bonus. If they're still posting in a quarter, I get a bigger bonus. If they're still posting in a maybe half year or a year, then I get a really big bonus, right? Something like that could be really effective, because I'm going to bring the right people in, and I'm going to keep them engaged, right? So think about that. But 24 you're saying is not enough, which I could see. It's not so expecting users to have any knowledge about crypto and NFTs is not, we don't even want to go there, because that's not the main point. This is supposed to be usable and useful for people who don't care about the crypto, right? With more energy and the ability to produce energy faster, users will have more incentive to return more often to check DEN rather than once or twice a day. Can we scroll down a little bit? Okay. At least now in the beginning, where we don't even have 10,000 profiles, we need to give our users a longer interaction time to feel a level of intimacy with DEN. Again, these are only a few points. Hopefully you've seen before share. Sorry, but I didn't get to. I'm way too crazy busy, but earnestly believe that one of the issues with user retention is just having to wait 5 to 8 hours before you can create a new post. It's not alluring. And I do, there was another platform that had a system. Now it really, in my opinion, was broken wholly, because you couldn't even make a post day one. You had to make a reply and hope somebody voted it up and get enough points. And it was poorly done, because you had to know what kind of points they were and everything else. Anyway, but that's just a critique. So I could see how that could be the case. If I come in and I make a post and like, or make I spend all my energy making content, then I can't even reply yet if somebody replies to my post. So, that is very truly correct. So, so hopefully, thank you for that. Thank you for this. Hopefully I answered it well enough, and that can be a discussion, because I would be, personally, as far as I would be willing to help outline this. And I think some of these things are built in to be relatively easy, like say the amount of energy generated, that ratio is one place in the code, and a new user, that's one place in the code. So maybe it'll work, right? Okay, great post, great question. Thanks a bunch, Hype Freak. Juicy J and Dragonchain question: how can a children's haircut salon benefit the Dragonchain blockchain? I don't know if it used Dragonchain to let's see here. If I had to find an excuse to use a blockchain in a salon, it would probably be for identity stuff. For you could say payments. I don't really care about the payment side. There's too much of a headache there. But you could do that. So payments, I would say behavior. I would say something of a loyalty system, and also tracking. I know when I go in to get a haircut, I always forget the numbers that I'm supposed to tell them on what the last haircut, when was the last haircut, and on the combs or whatever they call them, what number it was. So that would be useful, right? I don't know if it need to be on a blockchain, but that's something. And you could do the loyalty stuff, and you could do payments, and you could do all types of other stuff. You could do any number of things with rights and privacy and all that too. So anyway, that is all of it. Do we have any featured posts? Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. So crypto in the Dragonchain layer, Reserve Bank of Australia CBDC proposals. Is this request for proposals from the RBA and DFCRC, I don't know what those are, similar to the Singapore Global CBDC Challenge at the end of last year, the Dragonchain entered a submission for? Is it something Dragonchain would or could look into? We definitely could look into it. I don't know that we will. If someone reaches out, I mean, we primarily wrote that last one as an answer in a, how do I say, in a generic way, literally, answering the challenge of CBDC. And you should read it, because how do I say this? We at least, I'm probably notably less optimistic these days, but when we first went through it, it was from the beginning, this could be a giant opportunity for liberty and for better management, particularly with what you would consider to be third world or poorer countries. But frankly, it might be more important in what you call first world countries like the US, where right now there's no transparency. There's no consideration of individual rights with the money supply or privacy or anything else constitutional. So this was kind of the answer that you could properly build a hybrid or a partially decentralized CBDC, even though it's CB, which would effectively create wealth for poor countries and would probably prevent fraud and waste in rich countries. So, and there's a whole bunch of other things in there. But you have to know, we very much take it from the context of how could this really improve the situation for the country. These are not things that are, at least in my opinion, that are a normal customer. If you have a central bank approaching you, that's not a normal customer, and they probably, in my opinion, should have better support for who is their customer, which would be the citizens, theoretically. Or the citizen, the republic itself, maybe theoretically. But there's a whole bunch of really weird politics in that space. So we probably aren't going to do anything with that. If anything, we could potentially submit this same paper and say, look, here's what we think. And here's what's possible also, because I think a lot of things that they think are impossible that are good are definitely possible. So anyway, that was the featured post from Critical Crypto. So next up we have, okay, so that's everything. So we're going to go merch at Dragonchain.Store. All hoodies are on sale until October 31. So if you don't have one, do get one. Some of those are really nice too. I have the Den embroidered one. It's nicer than I expected. And so I need to get a couple of the others. 10% off again until October 31st. Use coupon code hoodies-2022. Go there and do that. And in closing, make sure you watch us again next week. Make sure you watch all the other shows this week. Should be some fun stuff on. And follow Dragonchain, Real Denizens, and Jojo Rowe on Twitter, LinkedIn, Den, elsewhere. Make sure you like, comment, share. And that's everything. See you next week.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.